to fill the whole thing in, I did 3 sketches, so it's 3 sketches wide, and I'll show it to you more clear here, one at a time. So this is going to be my far left. I guess it's flipped for you guys, but I'm basically taking a like Guitar Hero kind of Brutal Legend. If you've played Brutal Legend, you'll probably recognize like the font and this guy right here. So I'm taking like a metal kind of cartoon approach to it. I thought that'd be pretty fun. This zombie thing was inspired by Courage the Cowardly Dog. There's one scene, there's like a basement, and this like zombie comes out of this hole in the basement, and that's kind of what that came from. So it's basically, if you play Brutal Legend, you kind of see the aesthetic, but it's kind of like this like hellscape of metal. So that's what we're working with today. All right, unboxing one destroyed box later. So yeah, here's my unicorn horn paintbrushes. They kind of look like makeup brushes in some way. It doesn't really specify. I don't care. It all is the same thing. So let's go in here and put a big coat of yellow down. Thank you, Fifth Lit Teach. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's my first time using them. So let's hope that they don't shed hair everywhere. That's a big hurdle with brushes that you don't know anything about. So anyway, like I said, I sanded this earlier, so hopefully this doesn't take forever to dry. If you put acrylic paint down on something that's too smooth, it kind of just sits there for a long time sometimes. So we'll see how this goes. Maybe we'll just see me lay down a bunch of random paint today and pick it up again next time. But moving on. So yeah, I'm laying down the orange now. And later yellow now. And then I'm gonna go back in later and do orange. It's gonna give it that more like hellscape look than the yellow. The yellow makes it look more bright. But with underpainting, you can kind of get those light tones. So I kind of want it to look like it's glowing in a way. So if you've ever painted with acrylic, you probably know it's going to be hard to draw on this after I do all this. It's going to be hard to draw on the acrylic because it's just going to put lines in it and scratch it out. But that's why I got the Mod Podge out, so that I can put like a matte finish over it, and then I can draw onto the matte finish, and it won't just scratch through all the layers of the acrylic paint that I'm putting down. So that's why these are here. That's why I'm not that worried about it scratching through. And if that sucks, then I learned something today. If it doesn't work out very well. But I'm sure it will. Again, the worst thing about all of this is going to be waiting for these things to dry. I normally work on things a little bit at a time. So like if I was just doing this on my own, I'd probably just do the yellow now, walk away from it for a while, and then come back later and do the brown or whatever's next. Go ahead and fill this in over here. I'm going to try to speed up my process a little bit for this, not to speed run it or anything, but so I'm not just literally painting yellow for 2 hours. just Walmart paints, so this isn't anything wild. I'm just going to put a few drops. He's wild. Look at him. Alright. So I put that out, and hopefully that'll turn some of this orange. If not, it'll just be like this blood red kind of. Yeah, I waited too long. It's not going to be orange. It's just going to be this gross red kind of color. But that's fine. Again, we can work with this. We can go over with orange. It's another thing with painting. You can always just go over it. I'm just going to do my best to even it out up here. I kind of want it to look painted. Like, again, if you've ever played Brutal Legend, then you know it's like an ancient world and they still have scrolls and all this stuff. So if it looks painted, then that kind of is cool. It works for the aesthetic in some ways. But I do want it to kind of look like a clean composition. This will probably be the only time I can use this brush. I'm kind of beating it, but totally fine. Man, yeah, this is going to be cool, like underneath color. Normally with underpainting, you're trying to get your values in there. For me, I'm really just trying to fill in the space for now so that when I draw, it's not just going to be covered up every time I paint. So I'm doing all the background stuff now and kind of thinking about underpainting, but it's not really my main goal. It's not really my main thought. I'm not really putting too much thought into any of it. I just really want to do it and see what I can do in the amount of time I'm on here. Again, if this takes too long, then I'm just gonna finish it up on another stream. Maybe we can do Thursday, or it'll either be Thursday or Tuesday. I'll let you know on my Instagram. A little bit. This is much better. Kind of smoothing those transitions out a little bit. Now we feel like Bob Ross, right? Moving lots of paint. Bear with me. So this is where we are so far. Again, it's not really pretty, but I think that it'll look cool once we get that illustration over it. It's kind of dumb to do that. Now I need to get those fingerprints out on the sides here. Oh, that wasn't bad. Okay. Hopefully you can kind of see some mountains forming there. And this angle kind of sucks. I really do need to try to get a top-down type of thing. We'll see what we can do. But again, hopefully you're working on something too, so you're not as worried about it. Need to figure out where my panels turn here. So now what I'm going to do is get a gray color and put it where the all these amps are. So right now it's kind of yellow and white and orange, but I'm going to do a gray, and then that way there's kind of a dark color there, and then I can go over that with the black later when we start doing our sketch on it. So let me grab the gray. I'm going to get, so this is a Craft Smart dark gray. Increase. Let's shake this up pretty good. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing I did with that gloss red. I'm just going to kind of lay it down in this area. We know where it's going. We know it's going to be right here. Why not lay it down? We don't really need the palette. And I'm really just going to take that brown brush that I was just using and go in there. I'm not worried about this color, really. This is going to be the furthest back color in this area. So if it turns a little brown, that's fine. Look, it's mostly gray anyway. It's not really turning brown. So that's nice. And I'm just really just going to fill this area in down here. And this, because we worked from back to front, this is going to overlap that mountain scene that we just laid out. So it looks like it's actually, this is closer, this is in the foreground, while everything that it's overlapping is in the background. That's a really good way to use space or show space in a painting, is to use overlapping. I'm using my phone to stream. I'm literally just on the Twitch app streaming through my phone here, which is really cool and easy and useful, but people keep texting me and I'm like, alright, I'll respond eventually when I'm not doing this, because normally I can just zone out and maybe do some text here and there when I'm painting, listen to whatever music. I kind of jumped on the bandwagon recently. I've been listening to a bunch of Corpse, so that's been great. I love that kind of dark trap stuff anyway. I'm only calling it that because that's what it was called on my year wrap on Spotify. Yeah, I really like what Corpse is doing with his music. Really cool. Super into Ghostman. What's the guy in that song? Savage Gasp. I've listened to a couple of his songs. There's this one called Pumpkin Screaming in the Dead of Night. Love that song. Shinigami is in it. So yeah, I like all those kind of like metal rappers. Scar-Lord. Super into all that. So it's one of the reasons I like to have that horror aesthetic, because I love metal. I mean, you can tell with this, I'm going for like this metal hellscape from the video game. Dries matte, when you get it, make sure it says matte. So make sure it says matte when you buy it, because, well, depending on what you want, because there's also gloss ones. So if you want a glossy, get a gloss one. If you want it to be matte, like I do right now, then get the matte. Just point being, make sure you really pay attention to what you're buying. If you're new to art, you'll find that art's very expensive, and you don't want to realize you wasted your money on stuff. So yeah, that brown is still wet down there, and it kind of dragged it to this skyline up here. Totally fine. I'm not worried about that. It's kind of cool. I never thought about it like this, but it's like a fresco painting where they put paint directly into the wet plaster. I'm painting directly into this wet Mod Podge here, so it'll hold those colors in there. That's kind of cool. I kind of actually, now I'm thinking about it, it'd be fun to do some experiments with painting directly into this, like laying down a wet. I don't know what that would do. But again, sometimes with art, you just gotta experiment and figure out what works for you. And sometimes you just want to see how stuff works. To my art class, I teach them to use the scientific method. A lot of people don't think that art and science are related. I think they're super related. And that's just one way, is being able to experiment with what you have. Being able to observe how materials work together. So if you don't know the scientific method, you better learn it. I think it's helpful for a lot of stuff. But I also think that being able to transfer skills from one thing to another thing is also a skill in and of itself that's really good to cultivate. So, if you're an aspiring artist, keep that in mind. Take your time to experiment. Not everything's going to look good. For all I know, this will look really dumb when I get done with it. We'll see. It's totally fine. I'm trying some new stuff. I mean, I'm trying Twitch. This is my first time streaming, or I guess second time, but I'm new to it is the point. Sometimes you just gotta do stuff, see how it goes. If you like it, keep doing it. If you don't like it, stop doing it. My banner on my profile, there's like these orange splatters, and I did that by putting Dr. Pepper onto a canvas and then taking spray paint and spraying directly into it, and I made this kind of cool splatter. And I never would have done that if I didn't try to put some Dr. Pepper or something on my canvas, which sounds stupid. Like, why would you ever do that? Now I know that if I want that effect, I can do that. I'm actually worried now. I wasn't worried before about messing the colors up, but now I'm kind of worried that because the colors are mixing in, that it's just going to look like fog, which I guess could be cool, but now I am kind of worried that it's just going to turn everything gray and foggy, because normally this dries clear. We'll see how it goes. I will say this is also why I love acrylic paint so much. It seems like it's taking a long time to dry, but compared to other paints, it dries very quickly. Everything except like spray paint. Even some spray paint, if you don't do it right, it'll take forever to dry. You're really supposed to do small areas, or I guess not small areas, but like a thin coat. And I guess you're supposed to be doing that with acrylic paint as well. But we don't follow rules. Who follows the rules?